Hi everyone, welcome to Mrs. Caldero's spreadsheet tutorials. Hope you enjoy. Let's start with our first tutorial. We are going to look today at spreadsheets and introduce the entire concept of what a spreadsheet actually is. We will be looking at defining the term, explaining the purpose of spreadsheets. We want to create a Microsoft Excel file, identify rows, columns, cells, worksheets, worksheet tabs, name box, formula bar. We want to identify cell address, what is an active cell, range, identify types of data that you could enter in cells, labels, values, formulas, functions. We want to name a worksheet and then we want to save an Excel file. I want to let you know as well that spreadsheets have been in use for a very long time. Traditionally, it was and still is a grid of rows and columns that spread out or display all the number data for a business or other organization on a sheet of paper. For example, let's look at Bob. Bob helps his mother out in their store after school. He loves helping, he loves dealing with customers, and he helps recording the sales so that they will have an idea of how much they made for that day. He uses a calculator, pen and paper, and a journal that his mother keeps where they can enter each sale so that they can get accurate data at the end of the day. It's tedious for Bob, and he would love to learn a new way to automatically calculate his sales at the end of every day or week or month. Spreadsheet software, though, would help Bob in that area. The software that we're going to use in this tutorial would be Microsoft Excel. Your duty would be, first duty, would be to research and give me two other examples of spreadsheet software. Don't forget. So our first lesson, I will be asking you to give me two other examples of spreadsheet software. When we want to get to Microsoft Excel, go to your Start menu and you will see the program and the icon there. If not, you can use your search option and just type in Excel and you would get it. Now let's go to a Microsoft Excel workbook and see what it looks like. So this is your interface when you open Microsoft Excel. Again, spreadsheet software like Microsoft Excel allows us to store data in a table. We can manipulate our data. We can display it graphically using graphs. And many organizations use spreadsheets. We have from government organizations to local businesses to schools to individuals for various reasons, but mainly to manipulate large amounts of data that involves calculations. When we open Microsoft Excel, we want to look at identifying a couple things. Firstly, as you can see, just like a copybook or a notebook that you would use manually, we have columns and we have rows. I want you to look and see that each column has a letter and each row has a number. When I click on a cell, that is what I call the active cell. Every cell has a name and we see it in this area here called the name box. So when you look here at this interface, as we're familiar with tabs. We have tabs again in this program. We have our groups of commands that we can use. So as you click on the tabs, you can see and use different groups of commands, right? And we have our rows, we have our columns. When a row and column intersect, we form what you call a cell. So all of these are what I call, or you can call, a cell. Now, how do we name a cell? When I click on this cell, this is the active cell, so I could actually type something in this cell. And in my name box, it's saying this cell is A1. So therefore, it lets us know that a cell name or cell reference is utilizing the column, letter, and the row number to give you the name of the cell A1. This cell will be C3. This cell will be H11. This cell will be E12. So we have identified columns. We have identified rows. This is your name box area that allows you to see which cell you're in. This allows us to enter data into the cell. You can see the contents of the cell in this area. More importantly, it's called a formula bar. When you have a value that utilized a formula, you would be able to see the formula in this area here, which we call the formula bar. Now, a workbook is a collection of worksheets. When you look at the bottom of this worksheet, you see that you have sheet 1. This plus sign allows us to add more sheets. Therefore, these are what we call worksheet tabs. I could name each worksheet tab by simply double-clicking in this area, taking off what's there, and then let's say we call this first sheet sales. So we can rename our worksheets as well. So just a recap, we have column, we have rows, we have a name box, we have a formula bar, we have our worksheet tabs, we have our cell. When you have a number of cells coming together, that is what we call a range. We write a range by identifying the first cell in the range and the last cell with a colon in between. So this range would be called A3 colon that went up to E3. So again, that was A3 to E3. Good? So again, to enter data in a cell, I simply click in the active cell and I start typing. There are 3 main types of data that I could enter in a cell. I could enter labels, and labels are non-numeric data that will not be used in calculation. Example, text, like a person's name or a heading for a column. We can enter values. So let us put some headings, some labels here for now. Let's just give an example of probably what Bob's afternoon will look like. So Bob would have to put the date. Bob would have to put the item number. Bob would have to put the cost. Bob would have to quote the quantity. And he would have to actually calculate a total. So all of these, date, item number, cost, quantity, and total, these are what we call labels. Another type of data that can be entered into the cell are what we call values. Values are data used for calculation. Example, an employee's salary, cost of items, all of those are examples of values. So let us enter some values, right? Now I want you to look at this sheet and I want you to look and see that as I click on the active cell, you are seeing the contents of the cell in the formula bar. Now, when you look here, item number is not seen because the column is too small. First thing we're going to learn when you start typing, we're going to look at actually expanding your columns. There are 2 ways. You can click between the column letter, hold the left mouse button and actually drag it open to where you want it, or just simply double click and it will open wide enough to fit the largest term or the largest label or the largest word or value. So again, let's just widen it so that we could actually start entering some data into the cell. So let's say all of this happened today, the 15th of the 1st, and we can put in various item numbers, 1001, 1002, 1009. Various things were bought on that day. And the cost, let's just say that was $5, that was $8, that was $15.50, right? And let's just put the quantity. Let's just give a small variation of what Bob will go through. Very, very tiny variation of what he would go through on a daily basis. For his calculation, he would do exactly what we are going to do here now. He would actually, to get the total, we would multiply the cost times the quantity. So on his calculator, he would multiply 5 times 1. And in Microsoft Excel, we'll learn more about formulas later on. Another type of data that can be used and entered in the cell are formulas. We're learning here just an introductory that all formulas in Microsoft Excel begin with an equal sign. And 5 times 1 gives us 5. When you click here, you can see that a formula was used to get this value. So a formula is another type of data that can be entered in a cell. So we have labels, we have values, and we have formulas. Good. Another type of data that can be entered can be, if I click here and I click my auto sum function, you can actually use a function, which is a predefined formula utilized in Microsoft Excel, all of which we will use and understand later on in our further tutorials. So just to recap, types of data that can be entered in a cell, you have labels, you have values, you have formulas, and you have functions, right? So these are our worksheet tabs. So Microsoft Excel, one of the spreadsheet software that we're going to use, is really efficient in helping us deal with large amounts of data that needs calculations. There are many things we can do with this data. And as our tutorials go along, we will see how well we can work with Microsoft Excel to help us in our own sales, which you will be doing for yourself, which I look forward to. So you can replay this video. You can tell me at the end of the video what you understood, what was not clear, and what you want to know more about. So don't forget to comment below the video. All right, enjoy, and I will see you for our lesson.